And sometimes you just want to know how to breed your animals. So in this video, what I'm going to cover with Mata, my friend, and now he has a lot of snakes. He's decided to breed for what he wants, right? And that's kind of the way that it works, right? You get a lot of different snakes, and then you breed what you want. Well, in this video, we'll cover from the smallest of the hatchlings all the way how to recognize females and males and all that other stuff. And we're going to try to do it in a small amount of time because it's the 4th of July weekend and we like to drink some beer. Hey, how's it going, guys? Paul with Spheric Reptiles. I'm here with Mata, and we're here to basically go over how you can breed your snakes. So I know a lot of the times you guys watch the video,
What you talking about, Willis?
and you've seen like little snapshots of, you know, I'm gonna take this animal from juvenile to subadult, subadult to adult, through the ovulation cycles, through follicle growth, hatchling feeding. Well, in this one, I'm going to try to cover a little bit of everything, and I'm gonna leave it up to you for your comments so that we can maybe generate discussions. But more importantly, I definitely want to help Mata, but I figured while I'm talking to him about all of this stuff, I can talk to you as well. So just starting off, I'll go ahead and get some hatchlings out. And this is what it all starts with these guys, right?
In the beginning. It's beginning.
Paco is a black pastel head clown. He doesn't really want to come out, right? But you can see that this is a hatchling. So you can remember from a video, he was born at around 49 grams. It was November 25th. So now here it is, July 1st. I know that this video isn't going to come out till next week, but it's July 1st, and you can see that he's right here. So let's see just how much he's gained. And now he is 196 grams. So we got to think that within 8 months, he gained 146 grams roughly, right? So that's really good. And the best thing about a snake that's this size, and this is a male, is that if you look at this snake, forget about the pattern morphs. Like once they're here, then you got to worry about how to get them to grow. So they have to eat every week, and it can be a rat pup or an adult mouse. Don't really feel the need to push them until they get over about like almost 300 or close to 400 grams, and then you'd increase them. Because if you guys are breeding these, or even if you have one of these and you just acquired it as a pet, that's a pretty good size acquisition. You want to get your hatchlings when they're closer to 200 grams, but they only have a straight line for a digestive system. So if you can imagine overfeeding this animal, it could get backlogged. And that's the thing that we really want to think about is when you're feeding your animal, you don't want to cause any digestive issues. So you would typically want to see something go in, something come out before you feed them something else. You don't want to feed them anything that's really big to where they have a partial poop, and then they still get blocked up, and then they have some digestive issues or damage. Well, all right, let me put you back, buddy. And if you have anything that you can add in, because now you've been keeping reptiles for a while, and I just didn't know if you had any immediate questions. This is a male. I'm going to also pull out a female to just really talk about how fast they should grow.
What is it better, a mice, a rat, or an ASF rat?
An ASF is better.
ASF is
like, so ASF, I don't know if y'all even have access to ASFs, but African soft fur, a mouse, you're going to get a leaner animal. So that's typically what you want to feed your males. But your females, you can start them off on, if you have the access to ASFs, the ASF pups or a rat pup. Now, rats have a lot of filler, like the rats themselves don't think that it's filler, but they're not as, they don't have as much muscle tissue as like an ASF. So an ASF is everything that's good from a mouse and everything that's good from a rat. So that's a perfect size no matter what size you feed. Even the adult ASFs are better nutrient-wise for the adult ball python because you can tell from the excrement. Okay. When they eat a rat, they have a lot of poop, right? And then when they eat a mouse, they have a little poop. Well, the ASF, they have about the same amount of poop or excrement, dookie, as like a mouse. So, okay. But let me show you one that started off small and now she's getting up to the subadult level. She's actually almost, she might be a little too big. So yeah, so we're gonna say that she's a subadult. And I know I should be going to the juvenile stage, right? But we're gonna assume that everybody's been feeding their animals and you got a hatchling, you got them on food, and the key thing is they need to eat every week. Even up to this stage, they need to eat every week. So that's not something that you would mistake or anything else. And what she eats is she eats a weaned rat once a week. And I started out hand feeding, assist feeding this animal. When I bought her, she was around 42 grams. My buddy Danny told me not to buy this snake, but long story short, I hand fed her or assist fed her like for 8 weeks straight.
8 weeks straight.
So let's see how much she weighs right now. She's 866 grams. And just to let you guys know when she was born, let's see what we got here. She was born September 2024, so she's almost 2 years old. And remember, I said, so you could start trying to breed your animals at 2 years, but it's actually better if you can wait to 2.5 to 3 years to make sure that they are just ready to go. That's if you can. Now, I'm no expert. If you have a snake that's really big and they're over 1,500 grams at 2 years, if you have an ultrasound machine, you could actually ultrasound them for follicles, but the biggest thing is weight gain. So yeah, if you see that they're around 1,300 grams and they're 2.5 years old, then you can start pairing them up. If they're under that, then it's just going to be a waste of time.
Okay.
And the genes that she has is she's super mahogany, cinnamon, and head pied. I'm going to ultimately breed her to a blackhead pied that's heifer clown to try to get some super mahogany, cinnamon, blackhead pieds, right? I don't even know if that makes sense. And hopefully we can end up with a little bit darker snake. Just so to show you guys also how we get going. But you see how thick and chunky she is? Yes. Yeah, so that's the body composition for your subadults. That's when they're going to be really chunky. And then right before they go into their adult phase, they should lean down because they'll go through a head change. And we'll show some of those too. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out two animals that are both, I'll pull out one that I think is really pretty too. Hopefully she doesn't come out and tag me. So this is a juvenile. And this is Viserion, and she's a blackhead leopard, lavender head pied. And if I get a weight on her, you can see she's around at 308 grams, but guess what? She only eats a rat pup. I'm not going to feed her a weaned rat, even though body-wise she probably could eat it. But because that could actually stress her out, I don't want to do that. And I want to give her something that continues to keep her metabolism going. So I give her the rat pup. And so if you can hold her for me, Matt, I'm going to get out one more.
Okay.
I'm going to get out a male that's at the same stage. Where is he at? This one. He might have a little bit of a food response. He's a little too old, so I'm going to have to edit that part out. Let me see. A juvenile, Mick Jagger. So this is Mick Jagger, and he is a special lesser. So he's a blue-eyed leucistic, and he was born around the same time that she was, and he's 366 grams, and he was born last year in July, and she was born September of last year. So you can see the sizes. Now, he's a little bit older, but the biggest thing is that at this size for a male at 366 grams, like, so she is still considered a juvenile, whereas he's almost a subadult because remember, males reach sexual maturity at around 700 grams. So as you're breeding your males or you're seeing your males get bigger, you can know that, all right, so this one's closer to becoming an adult because he doesn't have to develop eggs. If he did, all he's doing is doing sperm production, where she has to get a lot bigger in order to get there. So don't be discouraged, guys, if your males are growing faster than your females. And that's one of the reasons a lot of breeders will say, go ahead and get your females, grow them up. And then when you get your males, then you can pretty much get them about the year to year and a half point of when you have your females. And then that's how it works. But yeah, so that's the difference is that if you take the halfway point, so if males reach sexual maturity at 700 grams, 800 grams, you cut that in half. And then when that get to that half of that weight, you can say, all right, now they're a subadult. Okay. So because she was only at 200 something grams, then she's still considered a juvenile because in order to be really perfect for breeding, she has to be around 1,500 grams.
1,500 grams.
And so, you know, I think that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense.
So we're still building up. So these are all on weekly feeding. So he eats mice. So this is the one thing that a lot of people will say, rats are better than mice or ASFs. Whatever you have the ability to feed that your animal will eat every week, that's what you feed. So he likes mice every week. He does not like rats. I have not tried ASFs because we do all frozen thawed. And I just haven't found anybody that's packaging frozen thawed ASFs. You know, maybe one day, but for now, I'm happy with mice because mice are economical for us because those that want mice, because we start so many animals out on mice, it's fine. The ones that eat rat pups, it's a little bit more, but I know that in the long run, she'll end up building more fat stores. And he needs to stay athletic just like this anyway, because a fat male snake is like me, a fat man. I'm not going to do anything. But let me put them back and then we'll start looking at some adults. I don't know if you had any questions right now or not, but so we've looked at a hatchling male. We looked at a juvenile or subadult male. We looked at a subadult female and a juvenile female, right? So I think we should go straight into the adult males because males are a lot easier. So I'll grab Jetty out of here. So Jetty, who's named after my cousin Eric's son, is a clown-pied male. And you can see just how long he is. And you can also see how slender he is, right? So Jetty was born August 1st, 2023. So he's almost 3 years old, but you can see just how his body composition is. He doesn't have any additional fat. You can still see the ridge line. And so this is the key feature that you need to be able to see in your males that are breeders. They need to be a little bit slimmer. I'll show y'all another male snake that's really big too. And sometimes you just end up with a shack of snakes, but your typical snake should be about this big. And then if we were to weigh him, if he'll sit still for us. So it's right at 1,056 grams. So, and what he eats, you would be amazed. He eats everything, except for when he's breeding. So one of the things that people say is their males, when they start breeding, they stop eating. And that's true. So you might be able to pair up your male for 2 months, maybe 3, but then it'll come a point in time to where the pheromones of the females, even if you're washing them off, they're exuding these pheromones so much as they get their follicle developing more and more and they move closer to ovulation. In the wild, that's a signal to the ball pythons to come and get it. Come on and help fertilize these eggs so that I can have this clutch of eggs that they're not going to take care of. So that's the weird part, but that's the way Mother Nature works, if we say it's Mother Nature, right? But so he eats. If I were to feed him, I feed him nothing bigger than a wean rat or an adult mouse. So if he eats an adult mouse, he'll get 2 of them. And a lot of the times that's after he's bred. So right now we've paired him up with 4 different females. We got one that's left and she is right here. She probably is going to come out. And her name is Doja Cat. She's a yellow-belly pod. We're just trying to make pods here that are hip for clown. And you can see her body composition versus his. Now she's already going through ovulation, so I'm not going to disturb her too much, but you can see just how thicker her body is, and the feeding of her is way different than the feeding of a male. Remember, he needs to stay like a track star, right? He needs to stay not the couch potato, whereas she eats a small to medium rat when she starts developing follicles. Pairing her up, she's already given us 1 clutch. And so this year when we started pairing her up, she was well into like 1,800 grams. Now she's well into like almost 2,500 grams. So we know that she's gained 600 grams. So that's how I really know that this is ovulation. Even with the swelling and everything else, she doesn't want rats. She doesn't want me. She just wants me to shut this dang drawer and let her be. So I would do that. But hopefully you guys can see the difference in a female that's going through ovulation and the males that you get, right? I promised y'all that I would show you a bigger male. So I'll get out Bruce Wayne. He's a little food aggressive right now because he's done breeding. I don't know if I decided that or if he decided that. But Bruce Wayne is right here. I'm gonna sit him up here. This way I can grab him out. So I'm gonna go ahead and weigh Bruce Wayne, he was born in March 2022, and I think he's our biggest male. So right at around 1,600 grams, he won't sit on there. So remember how we had the other male out, and you could see just how lean that one was. He's equally lean, but he's definitely bigger. So he's bigger than a lot of the females that we pair him up with. But he also is a mouser. So it's kind of weird that he only eats mice. Like you try to give him a rat, he won't do it. One mouse, and he sustains this weight of around 1,700 grams year round. I don't know if you had this question or not, but for all of your males that go off of food, they're adult ball pythons. So even if they go off of food for 6 months, when they go on food, they'll be hunger driven too, just like the females. So when you got to notice that when they get hungry that you got to feed them. So with those males that have been off of food, you treat them just like a female that's just laid eggs. So, and we'll get to that because that's where the work comes from. The males, once they do what they have to do, the work is over. And then you're just trying to get them back on food. You clean out their substrate, totally break the whole thing down. But during breeding season, it doesn't do any good to break it down unless you have them on paper. You can. We choose not to because your animals always, less is better for them when it comes to eating. Not that they should go a whole year without food, but if they go 5 months or 6 months without food and then they get back on food, they get their fat stores up quick. It's kind of like when you've been fasting for like a week or 10 days, you lose a lot of weight. And then as soon as you start eating, as soon as you start drinking, you gain it all back. That's the same thing that happens with ball pythons. And he is a yellow belly Batman or yellow belly leopard spot nose clown, right? Did I say it right? Leopard, yellow belly, spot nose, or whatever. So his name is Bruce Wayne. We've had him for a while. He's bred. We got a lot of babies from him. So
he's a big boy.
Yeah. And so we've covered
The juveniles.
the juveniles, the hatchlings, the subadults for the female. We didn't really cover, we covered the subadult for the, did we cover subadult male?
No.
No. So we're probably going to skip that subadult male because remember, 700 or 400 grams, 700 or 800 grams, you cut that in half. So anywhere between 350 to 400 grams, you could say that your animal, if they're bigger than that, then they're a subadult. And then you kind of know that they're going to be getting there. But the problem you could have is trying to pair up that male too soon. So if you have a male that's a year old, they could do it. But so what you'd have to do is you'd have to look in there, make some secret sauce, which I've talked about before, taking those skin sheds, putting them in the jar, like get all of your male skin sheds, the adult males, and this is a shed. I just keep them over here since it's breeding season. I put them in this Paul's Secret Sauce jar with some hot water. I tear off just pinch of this, put that in there, just a piece. And I do that from all of my males. I use warm water, I shake it up, I put it in a spray bottle, and I spray the female and the male and the entire female's cage down with that spray. Then you put the male in there, and if they're gonna go, that will get them to go because then it makes them think that they're competing.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything you want to add or?
So whenever the female is pregnant, how long do we feed her?
Good question. Good question. So you want to feed that female every week, like routinely. So if she's building, what you'll have is, look for a female that's building, like this one. So this one is a banana. This is a banana head clown, and we're not going to weigh any of the females because they are. So you can see that she's building. She's getting a little bit bigger. she eats 2 to 3 mice. So what you'll notice is they start coming at you for the food instead of you trying to get them to get the food.
Okay.
They act more snake-like when they're building the follicles because they're hungry, right? So this is Lady Gaga, and again, she's a banana head clown. But what we do is I pair her up on a Thursday, and so it's 72 hours later I remove the male out. And generally I would feed on Sunday or Monday, but by that time I know I've gotten the male out. I put him back, and he's had a chance to settle in, and then I go to feed her. I always feed my females first because I don't want them getting upset or hungry or hangry or whatever they would get. So yeah, she just ate on Monday 3 mice. And so that's how you know that they're doing good. If they ever stop eating, the best thing you can do is to try to offer them another meal, especially if you've seen a lot. Try to offer them another meal the next day. And if they don't take it that week, chart that. And then if they don't take it the week after that, then something's wrong. They probably aren't developing like they should, right? And then instead of having them go through the whole thing and then reabsorb or stressed out, just stop the pairing.
Okay.
So if you could put that up for me. Yes, sir. These are all good questions. The best thing is don't stress out. Try to chart everything that you can down on paper. So the feedings, the weights, the sheds, everything, because when you're just starting out, you don't know what ovulation looks like. You don't know what prelay shed looks like. All of the sheds look like they could possibly be an ovulation shed when they're getting bigger, but it's only one that's an ovulation shed. And then about 30 days later, then they'll have a prelay shed, and it could take 55 to 60 days for them to lay the egg. But in the process, what I've done is I count backwards. So I see the eggs, and then I find the first shed. So the shed after or before they laid the eggs. And then that way I know that that's a prelay. And then I start looking for that next shed that was before that, and I know that's ovulation. And those have dates on them. So I can write those dates down on a card to say, this is when she had her ovulation. So I need to make sure I'm doing my pairings 3 months before that to try to reduce the amount of times I have to put the male in there. And then the ovulation, the prelay shed, and the eggs are coming. Now, that's if everything works out great. And then also tracking down what you're feeding them, that lets you know the months that she was really hungry. So maybe you fed her a small rat, and then she wanted another one. So you gave her another small rat when she was just building. So you have that documentation down too to see, all right, this is when she had the hunger. So I need to pair her up so that she can try to hit that same thing for her.
Okay.
Unless you have some more questions, I got some animals that have already went through prelay shed that are, and I won't pull them out, but okay. So if we're looking at Abba is a Huffman that's het for hypo. She's well over 2 years old, and you can see just how swollen she is. She's already pushed all of her substrate away. She went through ovulation 2 weeks ago. So now I'm just waiting on an ovulation shed. But you see just how tight she is and how, and whenever we try to clean out the substrate, there's no way we can get it that clean. But for whatever reason, they're able to get all of that coconut husk away from their body because that's where the eggs are. And I really think that it's because they're sensitive to their underside. Now on the top, there's nothing touching it. But I think that they become really sensitive to touch. And if you've noticed that on some of your animals, they start jerking, like when you just barely touch them, they'll jerk real hard because I think that all of the senses of touch hurt them. Yeah, she's good. The next one that I'm gonna show you guys is Danny, who is due to lay in the next maybe 2 weeks. And you can see that she actually has a lot of her coconut husk pushed out, but she has so much coconut husk in there that she's been able to kind of just push it all up and make a mound on the side. But you see that tight coil? That's when they're going through that final phase after their prelay. They're seeking the heat already. So they're sitting on top of that 90-degree hot spot, which is why I think you should get the pulse proportional thermostat for your females that you're trying to get to lay. That way it stays continual. It's the same. And she is a pastel orange dream, yellow belly, inchy, that's double head for cryptic and desert ghost. I didn't know what to pair up with her, so I put her to Bruce Wayne. I'm gonna end up with some ivory snakes, some all white snakes again. But yeah, but so that's pretty much in a nutshell how it works. So when you start pairing up, you're gonna have your male and your female. You're gonna feed them, and then you're gonna pair them up 3 days later. That lets them digest enough of the food. We want them using the bathroom, both of them in the female tub.
Okay.
Because that, for whatever reason, that makes them comfortable. When they smell stuff that comes from them, it's comfortable. It's their scent. It's their scent glands when they push them out. Then you're going to keep them paired up for 72 hours, whether they lock or not. Because the one thing that you don't want to do is put in one male this week, another male next week, because then when the babies come out, if they're similar, the male snakes, then you won't know which one you got. Then you got to spend a lot of money on shed tests. I made the same mistake this year too, but now I know I'm gonna get clowned, so at least it's not like something completely different. Okay. So that's for that. Then when you get the male out, if you can use a big tub, you can use any kind of tub, put some warm soapy water in there and wash the female pheromones off. That helps to keep the male eating for at least 3 months. Then after 3 months, you can give up. The testosterone level will be so high in the male that it doesn't matter what you do. But it's a good start. And if that's why you want to try to hit that female when she's just right. And then that way, when the male is in there before he can go off food, you've already stopped breeding him. Okay. Then you'll have, because you've done your pairings, and so then you want to catch them at 10 or 12 millimeters. And that female should be growing 10 millimeters a month until they get to about 45, and then they'll go through ovulation. They should probably go off of food after the second month. So if you start pairing them up in January, you got January, February, by March, they should stop eating. Or if you do in October, November, and December, they'll stop eating. Keep pairing them up until she refuses him, because her going off of food isn't the same as refusing the male. Okay. The weight gain, over the whole course of time, they should gain anywhere from about 450 to about 650 grams. And you'll see big weight gain. So traditionally, if you're weighing your snakes, you'll see them just grow a little bit. But this time, they'll be gaining a lot of weight. Like it'll be a lot. And their body will be getting bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. Then they'll go through ovulation to where it looks like they have a football in them or a softball. And then they'll get smaller. And then they'll have a shed. And, that's going back to the other thing. So then after the ovulation shed, about 21 or maybe 30 days later, prelay shed. And then after that, about anywhere from 45 to about 60 days, they'll have eggs. That sounds like a lot, right? I mean, I don't know. But I got posters for you. So yeah, you don't have to worry. So all of these posters over here, I don't know if you can show that or not. So all of these posters, and they've already been screenshot and everything else. So in other videos. So if you don't have these posters, go and take the screenshots of the posters. But since I got them for you, homeboy, I got you. Cool. Don't worry about it. I didn't know if there's any other questions. When you get to eggs, that'll be a whole different thing because it starts all over. But that incubation process is something that should be handled separately from the rest of this. Like you already are breeding rodents, you already have your animals. Now it's just a time to figure out which ones you want to breed. Typically, when you're starting, you can start after the summer. They don't do really good starting off breeding in the summertime. But as soon as September get here, when the temperatures start getting cooler, then you can start pairing. Okay. And then just mist them down inside of their enclosures to make sure that it stays humid in there. But, okay. I don't know how to do, baby. Is that it?
It sounds wonderful.
I mean, that's a lot of talking. My throat is dry. I think I need another beer. But you have any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you very much for all the information. It was very helpful. Well,
I'm right down the street from you, and a phone call away. So it's easy for you. Like anytime you need anything, just let me know. Okay. Hey guys, I always tell you to enjoy the time you spend with your family and your friends. That's what we're doing right now. I love my family and my friends. And I tell you what else. I love spending time with my reptiles, but this time is over with. I think I done spent too much time with snakes since the Repticon show that we vended, going to Reptilandia yesterday, and now doing this. Now it's time to chill. Chill, baby. I pair up tomorrow, so I need at least 24 hours to just chill. All right, guys. Thanks. Like, comment, and subscribe. Like Dave Chappelle say, like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope y'all have a very good weekend. Thank you.